So after looking back at all of the posts that I made on the Tumblr, I think the strongest correlation that I noticed between all of the posts was just kind of like, I feel like generally I'm someone who really hates like inauthenticity. Like I really hate like when people are kind of like performative for the sake of pleasing others. And so I think what I noticed in like a theme that I noticed in a lot of the things that I like was that they're all very like real, authentic seeming things. So like for example, like I really like the podcast This American Life, which basically just tells real stories of real people in a real place. Or like I really like the series Tiny Desk Concert on NPR, which is basically just artists like singing without any auto tune with just instruments. Like I think the stuff that I really liked was just stuff that was very like real. Like I don't know, which I think made sense because I know for me personally, I really hate like performativity. Like that's like kind of one of my least favorite things about people. And I also feel like that's a big thing in media too. Like I don't know, kind of um like performing to like please a crowd or something. Or I don't know, like for example, like that Pepsi commercial with like Kendall Jenner that kind of got like really popular, like infamous last summer. Like stuff like that where it's like companies kind of use like trends in culture to kind of like relate to people but do it in a way that's like really obvious and inauthentic. I really hate that. So I think it made sense to me that a lot of the things I liked were very like real authentic things, like a podcast like This American Life that basically just tells the stories of real people. Or like Tiny Desk Concert, which is just like artists singing their music without any auto tune or anything. um and yeah, so then I guess in that same regard, I would say that like the types of creators that are doing the best job are just people that really are just truly being themselves, which I do think that looks different for every person, and there's not one like general way to say that something or someone is authentic. But yeah, I mean, I think even like we see now, like YouTubing or like vlogging has become such a career for people because I think people really do have a taste for just like realness. Like when someone is just straight up who they are, or like a story is just straight up like what it is, I think that becomes a lot better and more interesting to people. And I mean, yeah, that's the kind of creators that I'm really into. Just people that are really like raw and kind of have something to say it and don't really um, care about the way that it pleases other people. And I mean, I think it does relate to something bigger in culture too, because I think honestly, like in culture, we have totally seen like inauthenticity on the internet or inauthenticity in the media. Like for example, one of the shows I talked about, Catfish, which is literally about people like faking identities online, like making fake profiles and tricking people. And so I think that's a huge thing that we see in culture, is just people pretending to be something, people trying to be something. Or like something we see on social media a lot is like people catering towards like what they think other people will like and not necessarily like what they like themselves. And so yeah, I would say like just overall, like the content I love is content that is like really authentic to the person that's making it. And I mean, I do think it relates to culture in a really big way because um yeah, I mean, I think as a culture we are really trying to shy away from like things that are inauthentic. Or even if we're not trying to shy away from it as a culture, it's definitely something that's been noticed, given that a show like Catfish has been created. Or I don't know, just that there have been so many studies about like teenagers and people in general trying to like impress each other on the internet.